Hello and welcome to History's a Blast. We're back at Fort Roberdeau in May of 2023. We were here last October. The place was closed. Today it's wide open. There's a school group here and we're going to work around that school group. So come along for the fun. There's Fort Roberdeau, the lead fort. The visitor center and a little museum are located under the loft of the barn. There's the admissions office and the gift shop there on the left, the Acorn shop. Admission for an adult is $6. Very reasonable, we thought. Start to finish, they've got 4 storyboards in here. We're in the ground floor of an old stone barn. You can see the hewn logs. A very informative video explained that the fort only was working lead for a couple of years, and the problem they had was the stream could not provide enough water power to turn the water wheels to work the crushers that processed the ore before it was smelted. And of course they needed water power also for the blast furnace where they smelted the lead ore. They processed about 2 tons of ore, but when the operation closed down, they still had 3 tons unprocessed. The fort continued as a protection for settlers, though, for the rest of the war. Shucking corn. The gourds packing up after the school group, huh?
Yep.
The 3 sisters, so the beans and corn and squash, and they all sort of work together to prevent weeds and so on, right?
Yep.
So early planting. Wood paneling here, yeah. And here's the stairs to the 2nd story. Nice. Daniel Boone's last home in Kentucky, about the same size. Neat.
And this is actually a little too fancy for the day.
Oh yeah, for 1770s. But 20 years.
The fireplace actually works. You can actually cook bread and cook meals on there.
But 20 years afterwards, 1790s, you got different herbs up there hanging from the...
They made pickles in those jars.
Very nice. Well, there's the oven. Now you were talking about it. I was looking at my viewfinder. There it is, right there. The wooden door block to. Is a demonstration for educational purposes of a Native American wigwam, woodland Indian style. Of course, this has aluminum tubing support. Looks like pressure-treated shingles with screws holding it together. But the idea is to give school groups an idea. It's a stream that's filled with water sometimes and other times not because of sinkholes, which is the main reason why lead processing here is more or less shut down after about 2 years. Now here's the same sinking run upstream from where it disappears into a sinkhole. Less than 100 yards away. Look at that, boy, there's a cavern right there. right underneath the fort too. There's the fort right up there. So Sinking Valley gets its name from the sinkholes. Limestone erodes underground and causes subsidence, which eventually reaches the surface. Now we're behind the Pennsylvania barn. The iconic Pennsylvania barn with its barn hill, ramp leading up to the loft above the stables and equipment storage area below. Set up as an educational center. You have the different flags. And there's the Conestoga wagon. Fiber on the frontier, growing flax for linen and raise sheep for wool. Lightweight and warm clothing. Big spinning wheel. Here's a loom with a bolt of wool on it. This is a really interesting barrow, wheelbarrow, wicker basket. A unique feature of Fort Roberdeau is the horizontal log stockade rather than the traditional vertical stockade. And that's because of the rocky soil here. The topsoil is only about a foot deep, and they needed to dig down 3 or 4 feet to put the vertical stockade in place. They'd pack it back with rocks and earth to keep it up. But after about a foot here, they ran into rocks they couldn't dig, so they basically made a horizontal stockade. Storyboard about the lead mine fort, reconstruction from 1970, well, it was built in 1976, added to the National Register of Historic Places 2 years earlier. And on the other side of the gate, they have a storyboard here that talks about efforts to save the site, investigate the site, and reconstruct the fort going back to the 1920s. Okay, let's go on in. Well, all the volunteers have gone for the day. There's a blacksmith or a tinsmith over there. There's some replica cabins. Now these are log cabins as opposed to log houses. Round logs, although they do have brick chimneys, but more temporary. Really to shelter the soldiers, militia, and the civilians and women and children and so on who would take shelter here. Well, there's somebody from the past. Are you the carpenter or the tinsmith?
I am the lead miner, tinsmith, blacksmith.
Jack of all trades.
We were teaching the kids. We have a brand new powder magazine here.
Oh yeah.
So I showed off the powder magazine. I did not display gunpowder, black powder, but I told them it's a saltpeter, potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur.
Kids, don't try this at home in your chemistry set.
Well, I can make. I've got charcoal that I made here today.
Oh wow, you made charcoal right here.
I made a gallon of charcoal yesterday, and I've got a tin on the coals there. I'll knock it open and see just how far along it goes. But so I've got charcoal. I have chicken manure over here. With the neighbor has chickens.
Right.
And if I had some wood alcohol, I could cook the chicken manure and get myself some saltpeter.
Neat.
The sulfur's problematic. I don't know how to extract it.
Yeah. And you've got your powder horn and your your essential, what do they call it? Not your
My
necessary, your
my-
necessary bag.
Well, the mountain men called them possibles bags.
Possibles bags, yeah.
At the time, at this time, it's my shooting pouch, a hunting
Okay.
pouch or a shooting pouch. And then I have a fire starting kit. I showed them how to make I have some flax in here. I have some char cloth in my fire starting kit, so I displayed on how to make a flint and steel, make a fire.
May I go into the...
Oh, absolutely. This is a working blacksmith shed, so all the mauls and the pliers and everything that is here would be functional to actually work.
Wow. Rakes. There's a rake there. All kinds of tools.
Here's my ball mold at 60 caliber, so here's my musket balls. I do melt my own lead and roll my own, make my own
So
musket
they actually used the gauge, the 20 gauge, that actual term was a caliber term in the 18th
400
century?
years old.
And what caliber would that be? Is that 45?
60.
That's a 60 caliber, so 20 gauge is 60 caliber.
Yeah, and 1 pound of lead will make 20 musket balls. Hence, it's a 20 gauge.
Oh, that's amazing.
There's an ingot of lead, that's 1 pound.
Yeah, wow.
All right,
And
so
that will make 20 balls.
this will make, these 3 are 60 caliber. This one is 66 caliber.
Okay.
It's 16 gauge. That's an ounce.
Interesting.
And the Charleville musket that's up in the barn.
That's 69 caliber. No,
72, I think.
Oh, is it 72?
Well, anyway, it's
Yeah,
12
the
gauge.
Brown Bess is 75, I think.
The Charleville's the same, pretty much the same.
Okay.
But it's pretty much designated as a 12 gauge.
12 gauge. Okay.
And that's
based on the number of balls that can be made from a pound of lead.
A pound of lead.
Wow. So the furnace failed. They didn't have the masons to build a proper furnace, so they built a smelter that, like this gentleman just said, is a giant barbecue pit.
Basically.
Wow.
Or actually, if you know what you're looking for, it's still out here.
Oh man. And this is the newly restored or reconstructed powder magazine. Boy, the wood smells green. Fan blowing in here. Here's the powder magazine. They got the barrels stored. Very nice. Firing steps, loopholes for the muskets. Oh, they've got a swivel gun over there too. Neat. Interior of a log cabin. Rough hewn furniture. Wooden bowls, wooden utensils. There's a bake oven. Copper kettle. A slab of meat. There's the sleeping loft up above. There's the ladder to get up to it. Here's a storehouse, salt pork in the barrel. There's the little training muskets that they drill the elementary school age militia with. U states. Let's see what's in here. There's glass in that window. Oh, that's because it's the officers' quarters. Okay. That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video and will take time to view some of our other ones.